I'm Cray Beaumont Flynn. Welcome to Beyond the Design, a show that gives you a peek behind the curtain of the design industry and shares the stories of those that are the driving force behind it. Well, welcome to Beyond the Design, and today we have with us Jaqui Seerman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Jaqui, with your namesake design studio established in 2014 and a rich history in the field before that, could you share with us what initially inspired you to pursue a career in interior design?
Yes, I was always very passionate about it from a young age. And I would go around from friends to friends' house and redecorate their living rooms, redecorate their bathrooms, redo their bedrooms while I was doing sleepovers. I was very active in creating make-believe spaces and designing, fantastic interiors for make-believe people on paper or doll houses. And I also had a lot of exposure because my father is a custom home builder and my mom is also very creative within the industry. She dabbled in design as well. And so with them both as mentors showing what kind of career this could be, I went into working for other designers, and then ultimately the catalyst to start my own company was my husband. He's also an entrepreneur. And at the time that we decided to do it 10 years ago, we were moving up north to Palo Alto because one of the companies that he had started was being acquired. And he was like, well, there's no better time than now. It was very scary, but we took the risk. And I'm so grateful that he encouraged me to do it because it's been amazing. It's more than just a job for me. It's definitely a lifelong passion.
Well, you've had the unique opportunity to work with industry legends like Waldo, Fernandez, and Martin Lawrence Ballard before branching out on your own. How do these experiences shape your approach to design and running your own studio? What did you take from it, and what have you applied?
Yeah, it was very lucky to have been able to work for Waldo. I came in at a very early age and I had very little experience, but I knew that I wanted to do interior design and I wanted to learn from the greatest, or one of the greats. And his approach is very different because he is truly, he really enjoys the architectural side of design. So that was an exposure that I don't think I necessarily would have had, with my previous exposure to it with my family. It was the building aspect or the decor aspect. It wasn't necessarily the architectural planning aspect of the project. And so with Waldo, I really got to watch him craft spaces and recreate interiors in Los Angeles where I'm designing. A lot of the houses are older, and it's about recreating what they may have once been or reimagining what they could be. And a lot of that is crafting the actual structure of the space. And so that was really instrumental to seeing how a project could be both interior decor and architecture. And then with Martin, they couldn't be more different as designers. But his approach, he does a lot of the architectural design build as well, but has a very avant-garde style, and he's very color rich and very color drenched and like pattern heavy. And so coming from a Waldo background that was quite absent in those categories, it was a big shift. But
one extreme to the other.
But it really made me comfortable exploring and operating in very different design realms and paying attention to what a space was kind of begging to have or a client was expressing desire in, and being able to really comfortably pursue and deliver a design that reflected what the space required. And
correct.
They're wonderful friends of mine still. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have worked with them. And, that's just a small aspect of how they've influenced my company.
Well, you've had the pleasure and leisure of doing projects all over the world, a remarkable variety of locations from Paris to Istanbul and Grand Cayman Islands. How do you adapt your design process to fit the cultural and local nuances of these diverse settings?
Well, the truth is that a well-designed space is a well-designed space wherever it is in the world. And there are cultural preferences and small details that you have to pay attention to when designing in other regions. But the ultimate goal is to create an environment that enriches your experience and is like a beautiful backdrop for your day-to-day activities. And so that transcends any location. So, outside of making sure that you're following, local lighting and UL listing guidances and code compliances, and there's a lot of people always there that want to support you and help you with that. So it's been amazing to do projects. The majority of projects that I did internationally were hospitality. And that's a whole other beast because, there's very specific details that go along with hospitality versus residential. But a lot of the projects that I've done have been residential, international, and they've been just like doing projects here, really.
Is there a particular place that you haven't worked yet that you really want to work and do a project?
Italy. I haven't done a project in Italy. I would love to go to Italy if anyone needs me.
She's packed and ready to go.
A palazzo, a castle. We're ready.
So managing large-scale commercial, hospitality, and residential projects requires a blend of creativity and precise project management. Tell us a little bit how you balance these aspects to ensure the project runs smoothly and is successful.
This is a really big element of our company, and part of my design team's process is to really structure our weeks so that we can balance the technical detail that's required to execute jobs properly, along with the creative parts, which I know that you know this because you've had a lot of wonderful designers as part of your podcast, but the creative side is far less than what would be anticipated in interior design. And it really does require a lot of planning. And in many cases, these projects take years to come to fruition. And we're planning out spaces that we won't actually physically see until, months or years later. So the detail that's required, the scheduling that's required, is really important. So we are constantly making sure that we're blocking out our schedules to have in-office time so that as a team, we're working on the door schedules and the elevations, but also making sure that we're scheduling time to meet with our vendors and trades and scheduling times to be on site. And so all of these things, when we're looking at our calendar, we're very much living in the future. So it's absolutely crucial to be on schedule and really manage that aspect of all projects.
It doesn't happen like it happens on TV. All of a sudden, the next day, it's wow.
I mean, it feels a little bit like that. It looks like that because all of a sudden, everything's arriving. But the amount of planning that it took just to get the arm height in relation to like the windowsill height that's next to a coffee table or built-in has been thought of years ago.
Exactly. Well, you've mentioned at an early age how you got involved and started in your career through your parents and the work they did. How do these early experiences continue to influence your design philosophy today?
It's really kind of you to bring them up. They're both really amazing, and they're very active still and helping a lot or working a lot within those realms. But my mom was a great resource in that she was constantly having to find resolution and come up with, a pivot or a shift, and watching her navigate that on the spot was really important to what my career is currently. And so in design, it's all about, you think you have a perfect design, and then all of a sudden, you're informed that the material can't be installed that way, or something's happened, or the client gets a little nervous. And so you're having to navigate in real time. And so being able to think on your feet is such a crucial aspect of it. And then with my dad, he was very meticulous. And as a builder, he took a lot of pride in not only his team's appearance, but the appearance of his job sites. And they were always impeccable. I remember him taking me on weekends when I was very little, like 8, to scrap the job site, which is literally going around and picking up any little debris or nail and putting it to the side. And if something wasn't perfect or built, exactly to spec, he would have his team take it down and start over again. He never was willing to tolerate imperfection and that desire to have things accurate and knowing what it looks like behind a wall and the structures that exist has really given me an advantage, both in terms of amongst my peers and for my clients, because I can anticipate a lot or call out elements that contractors may be doing on site that aren't initially apparent until because the walls aren't up, but I know that down the road, these elements will create complications.
Is there a particular Jaqui Seerman design aesthetic or a stamp that you try to incorporate into your projects?
It's funny that you ask that because right now I'm doing a company exploratory, kind of dive into what our design is. And I think that there's a heritage aspect that we always try and incorporate into all of our projects. We want them to feel like they've been lived in and collected and traveled, and that they didn't just appear overnight, that they have, provenance and history. And so all of those aspects are elements that we try and incorporate. So whether or not it's a vintage textile or antique tiles or, a beautiful, piece of pottery that's been imported, we always try and make sure that there's an element of, authenticity that comes along with the spaces that we create.
Well, transitioning from an employee to the head of your own firm, what has surprised you that you thought you knew but you didn't know? And what were the challenging aspects of this transition? And what has been most rewarding? I mean, having your own business is a lot to take on.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur is incredibly humbling. It is a path that not many take for a reason. And, I wouldn't say I was young when I started my company, but I was young enough to not know all the trials that I would come up against. But the reality is that when you go off track or you take a misstep, there's no one that's really there to navigate you back to the right path. And it's all from an internal compass. And so, that can be anything from, construction mistakes or product development or, items that didn't match a client's expectation, whether or not they were accurate and whether or not that they were accurately portrayed to the client isn't always a marker for whether or not they understood what it was going to look like as a final product. And being able to assume that and take that on and deliver a product that they are happy with is very humbling, because you've done your job and you've shown them everything, but what they've seen in their mind's eye is different than what the product is in front of them. And that's just with clients. There's also the aspect of employees and contracts and, fee structures and how you're communicating what you're delivering and acquiring more clients, how to present yourself. All of those things are completely from within you. And although there are people in our community that are examples of that, it's, making sure that it reflects you personally.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try and approach everything with a long-term commitment. And so what's benefited me the most within starting my company 10 years ago, is looking at it as a marathon rather than a sprint. And I'm constantly taking little experiences and adding them to my catalog of growth. And it's really proven to be rewarding. And we've had a lot of success because of that patience that I've applied and forgiveness that I've applied to myself and the company.
What do you find most challenging and rewarding about working across such a diverse range of project types?
The one aspect that's so fun about interior design, well, I suppose this isn't the same for everyone, but for my company, I look at things for so long, going back to how long projects take. I look at things for so long, by the time that they're installed, I never want to see them again. So
you're done.
Right. It's like, I will never use that material again. But what's fun about that is that no two elements are ever the same. It's fun in that you're constantly challenging yourself and exposing yourself, and everything's always new. Yes, it's a sofa, but I've never built this sofa before. Yes, it's a bathroom, but I've never built a bathroom like this before. The challenge is that you're doing everything for the first time. And first time always has inherent issues and errors and complications and things that you can't anticipate. So the rewarding part is constantly new and ever learning. And the challenging part is that everything is constantly new and you're constantly learning.
Twofold.
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned Italy as being a place that you wouldn't mind having a project. Is there a particular project type that you have not done yet that you'd like to?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned, I think there's two. I've never done a yacht. I would love to do a yacht for someone, a luxury, vessel that challenged me in both, marine quality and weight distribution and well-edited selections, making sure that each piece that you put on that yacht is like specific and functional. And then also I would, on the exact opposite end of it, I literally would love to do a castle. And the challenges that would go along with that, historic architecture and the way that interiors were previously used, and reimagining them for our current client would be absolutely extraordinary. And like in the opposite aspect of the yacht, like adding so much into it, as opposed to a boat in which you would have to be so well edited.
Correct. And very strict parameters on a yacht because every inch has to be functional for storage and else. Well, maybe we can find you a castle on the water that has a yacht attached to it.
They need their yacht to go out.
In Italy.
Yes.
Is there a particular project or moment in your career that stands out particularly meaningful or transformative? How did that impact your professional path?
This is an interesting question. And I came up against a crossroads or a realization last year in which I realized I'm not in total control. And although I can present and lead my clients to what I believe is the best design for their space, it's truly a collaboration. And it's not only a collaboration with clients, but it's a collaboration with the creatives who are making the pieces and the caretakers who are managing the spaces. And so sometimes the expectations of what is happening don't match what I had initially, conceived for the space, but letting go a lot of times has led to really beautiful outcomes. And sometimes the way that a person interprets a room or a shift that they've pushed me to make that I thought would never work turned out amazing. And, you hand off these spaces for people to enjoy, and the way that they live in is always a little bit different than the way that you envision. But to watch everything performing, either on a hospitality basis with swaths of people, or in a residential basis where there's these intimate moments, is also always, really exciting and different than you would have anticipated.
True. You see the transformation, I guess. And a lot of people, some people, not a lot, but say it's almost like, it's a child. You see it grow, you see it prosper, and all of a sudden you have to have it over and it goes to college and you never, it's there. They're living their own life.
Right. And you're just witnessing. No, I kind of always think about it like a gift, like a teddy. You hand a teddy off to someone and they take it and it's perfect, exactly how you intended it. And then they cuddle it and they love it, and it gets a little worn and it gets a little messy, but still at the core of it, the fabrication is perfect and the shape is perfect and the function is perfect. And in that scenario, it becomes real and it takes on a life of its own.
True. What advice would you give to someone that's aspiring to be a designer and dreams of running their own business and handling large-scale international projects?
Yeah. Patience. It takes a long time to get there. It's key. It's definitely a journey. And there's always going to be someone ahead of you, and there's always going to be someone behind you. So embracing the process of where you are currently without rushing is the most important thing you can do to ensure that you're building a solid foundation. Again, like I said, if you're constantly rushing and skipping over elements to keep up with the people who are in front of you, you may have cracks. And it's the same, we're taking time to deliver an impeccable product, and like that product is also your company. So making sure that you take that approach to yourself and what you're building as your company is just as important as the product that you're delivering.
True. Looking ahead, what are the upcoming trends or innovations in design that excite you the most?
Well, I just wrote a crazy article about wellness in homes. So there's a big trend towards wellness. I'm sure everyone's very aware of this, from home dry saunas and wet saunas and cold plunges and, steam showers and lymphatic massage and red light therapy and, lighting systems that are synced with your circadian rhythm. All of these elements are really, really important. And, the primary suite has become, in some scenarios, more important than the kitchen, which has always been of like primo importance and on top of everyone's priority list. But now the primary suite as a refuge for the occupants to escape into and really give back to themselves has become super, super important. And then just selfishly, I am obsessed with tile. I am yearning for way more tile in my life than, shall I say, less marble. Gasp. I love marble and there's always a place for it, but I'm definitely leaning into a little bit more of an artisanal, handcrafted aspect of it. I think it's great for the environment too. And then we're all seeing a lot more stainless steel. And, I would love for our clients and our community to explore other woods outside of white oak. I think that it would be really nice to see a diversity in wood tone and type. And we're working on incorporating more of that in our projects, and I would love to see more of that in design as well.
Tell us a little bit about some of the projects you're working on now.
Right now, we're working on a handful of projects that are predominantly on the West Coast. We're doing a really fun project for the Disney family, actually. We're doing a cottage for them in Los Angeles here, where it was Walt's brother's house, Ron, and it's where Walt, while he was trying to figure things out, was working in the back carriage house and came up with Mickey for the first time. So it's definitely a period piece, which has been different and fun. So that's been really exciting. And then we're also doing a beautiful large estate in Snowmass, which is just outside of Aspen. And it's this great ski in, ski out, massive, estate with a couple of different buildings on the property. We're doing a beautiful beachfront residence, and as well as a separate beachfront lounge in Malibu right now. We have a couple of beachfront properties in Manhattan Beach. And then we have projects dappled all along the Mulholland Drive or Hollywood Hills skyline. So we're busy.
You're all over the place.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different aesthetics, but we're having fun, and we're really enjoying the challenges that go along with managing a lot of different types of projects at all different phases. It's a good year.
Is there a particular project that you can think of that you've completed was the pinnacle? It's like, okay, I'm at that mark now.
Nope.
No?
No, I will never have. I don't know if I'll ever have that moment. I want so much. I love to be challenged. I think it's the human condition, unfortunately, that once you get that one project that you think was the project, that you do it and you're like, okay, now I want more, bigger and better. So I suppose if I had to be really selective, I would say me. I would love to do something for me. So whether that be, a residence that I purchase and do completely, whatever I want in the space, or if it's a product that I create that's exclusively for me and is beautiful and has all my personal preferences in it, I think that would be really exciting. That would be a definite pinch me moment.
Well, talking about you, design often reflects personal taste and journey. How does your own home reflect your personal and professional evolution?
Yeah.
I mean, you started young doing things for other people and changing, and are you do that at home now? Like change up rooms?
It's constantly evolving. There's nothing that's here that it's constantly changing. But for right now, what's interesting about where I am, it's 10 years. And so both in my personal life and my company, I'm doing a deep edit, and I'm really paying attention to the items that I have, or the products that I have in my space, and I'm looking for refinement in all aspects. So it's everything from the interiors to the art to the dishware that I have. I'm looking for elements that really spark joy and either evoke deep memories or contribute to the space in a way that just enhances it outside of what a regular chair or book or plate could do.
Mm-hmm. Outside your professional work, what are your passions or interests that fuel your creative drive and keep you inspired?
This is funny because I never did anything other than work for like 8 years. So someone asked me this question.
You have no life.
I had no life. I mean, I have kids, I have a husband, I have a company. I somehow have friends in the middle of that. But I was asked this 2 years ago, and they said I couldn't say family or work. And it was a true challenge because I love my work. And I obviously love my family. And so I did kind of like an assessment, and it really is the arts. And what I crave most and constantly seek out is, cultural elements, whether like we recently went to the opera, we're going to the opera again, we just went to the ballet. I'm constantly going to different museums and looking at different art pieces. I mean, I lie. I actually go to the same museums over and over and over again and look at the same pieces of art and find different elements of it and the craft that inspire me that I didn't necessarily appreciate the first time I saw it. But that, and paired with, gallery openings and new furniture collections, looking at what my peers are doing, and also, dining out is a great experience for me because, of course, I love food and I love to eat, but I love the storytelling that goes along with experiencing a restaurant, and from the menu to the approach to the environment and the food, like all of that gives so much back to me. And it really continues to catapult my interest in, design and the product that we deliver.
How do you approach maintaining your own unique style and vision while meeting the diverse expectations of your clients?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really challenging because I love beautiful things. So when presented with items, a lot of times I can see the inherent beauty of like the product that's being presented to me. Whether or not it aligns with what I'm delivering is another story, but it can knock you off course. So really trying to maintain that very edited and refined approach that I'm applying to both my interiors and my company really helps to streamline that process and create a path that you can feel when you're veering off of. And so that's been really successful for me, making sure that I come back to what the core of what the product is that we're trying to deliver. And in my company, that core product is a bespoke environment that feels completely custom to that individual and space.
I mean, the world of design is continuously evolving and morphing, and you got trends, you got TV, you got Pinterest and other applications that are out there to the end user. How do you stay ahead of the curve, and what sources do you rely on for inspiration and industry trends that really speak about your own design aesthetic?
We talk about this a lot in the office and with my contemporaries because there right now in our lives, there are a few data points that we're receiving inspiration from, and it's almost unanimous across the board where this information is coming from. So it's socials and it's inspiration platforms like Pinterest. And what can happen is we get this really homogenized push towards these really intense trends. And what the consumer doesn't realize is that those trends that they're being fed are old. They've already existed, and they're buying into items that may not have the longevity of elements that are cultivated from other sources. So we're constantly trying to educate our client and pull them away from those social platforms and give them books. We buy them books. We go to residences that were completed and, previously. We look at past fashion. We look at past jewelry. We look at past, art, and we draw a lot of individual elements from them to create a space that's new and fresh and unique. And it's hard not to be tempted by, the save tab on Instagram, because you can literally build an entire house in there. I think there was once a house that was built by Pinterest.
Probably.
But we want to move away from that, and we want to have original spaces. And again, I push my clients to have a custom environment that's unique to them, because that is the ultimate luxury, to have something that's really built around you, as opposed to what was built for someone else.
We talked about inspiration. What motivates you?
It's hard to say. I'm just have this internal drive for An obsession. I suppose I'd say what motivates me is an obsession with design. I'm obsessed with everything in a space, and it's really hard for me to walk into any environment without compulsively staring at elements and dissecting each transition of the molding that's on the ceiling and looking at how they've incorporated patterns or pieces. And so when I see that, I become really excited, and I want to incorporate these little creative details into my own projects. And so I need more clients so that I can create more exciting things.
Walk us through your process from client to conceptual design to installation.
Yeah, we have a really structured schedule. Getting back to how we started, we have a really comprehensive outline that we present clients with at the onset of our projects. And it's an approach that consists of we do a lot of construction on all of our projects. We're not doing ground up. I actually have never done a ground up residence. We're doing a lot of interior renovation and remodels, and we'll take a project completely down to the studs, but very rarely are we, demoing a property and raising it entirely. So it's a lot of exploratory work. And so the initial conceptual phase is presenting clients with some first thought, best thought imagery. And so we go through and we collect a lot of imagery, and we present them with, these kind of tester feeler pictures, and, nothing is off the table. They can be completely disgusted by something, or they can be completely obsessed with something. They can be looking at an image that we're showing them of a bathroom and somehow hone in on a color combination that they want in their dining room. We never know what we're going to get from it, but it gives so much back to us so that we can really be streamlined when we go into the initial stages of design. And so we go from that conceptual phase into our design phase, where we're doing architectural detailing based on conversations that we had and this first thought, best thought, experiment that we've gone through. And then we present a lot of those details, and then we present a lot of the furniture that corresponds with it, and we do big furniture presentation packages. And we try and have, in the first two phases, which is conceptual and presentation, everything selected so that the client gets a full picture of what their product will be and how much it'll cost and how long it'll take. And this is something that I know that there are plenty of designers who do it, but not all designers do. And I find that this really maps out the expectations of what the client's deliverables are at the onset of the project. And it creates this very streamlined experience for both them and us, because they understand that they're getting this whole package. This is the estimated delivery time, and this is the estimated cost, and this is what it's going to look like. Right. And that expectation is, created by us, and we're able to deliver fully on that. And we're very good at coming in on budget. I'd like to say we're very good at coming in on time, but construction is a very complex experience and very hard to control. But then we go into the procurement period. We manage all aspects of procurement and construction management. And I'm fast forwarding through all of that because that's a very long period. But we come in at, the very end, and it's a month of, furniture installation, accessories installation, refinement, lighting adjustment, drapery installation. And they come into this very turnkey experience where candles are lit, their pantry is organized and color coded, their refrigerator is full, and there's toothpaste in their bathroom drawer.
Hey, you need to come to my house.
We do it all.
Is there a particular project that you can think of that a client asked you to do a particular design? You're like, I just cannot go in that direction.
I would like to say that there is. I would like to say that I've said I won't do that, but I've never said that. And I've always taken the opportunity to use that as a challenge and reanalyze what it is that I'm doing. And so we're always, listening to the client, and, there are things that will guide them away from, but we'll always try and incorporate, their requests. So it may not be the way that they expected it or they've requested it to be. It'll be a hybrid of it, but it'll always try and address what their requests and concerns are.
Is there, balancing aesthetic appeal with functionality is a critical aspect of interior design. Mm-hmm. Can you discuss a project where the balance was particularly challenging to achieve and how you addressed it?
I'm going through this in our life right now, both with, this is something that I'm really working on. And I recently went to a book signing with Oliver Firth. He has a new book out that's so great and beautiful. And he's really good at the non-functional item. And if you really think about a space, literally every single thing that you put in is functional. Right. And so people can become obsessed with making sure that, oh, well, that chair needs to be really comfortable. And I need to have, this light needs to really put out beautiful lighting. But there's so many functional things that will be in the space already that when you add in that chair that doesn't look like you'd ever want to sit in it, or you add in that light fixture that makes you feel like a little funny when you look at it, they add something to this space that creates this really special harmony of balance with the functional and the creative and or non-functional elements. And so I really push clients and beg them to try and see how one or two or many even non-functional items can really improve and create an experience that is unexpected and special.
As someone who has successfully navigated the interior design industry and built a thriving business, what are the biggest lessons you've learned about leadership and being a business owner?
Mm-hmm. Across the board is listening. So, as a designer, our role is to really listen and try and anticipate what our clients' requests are, even though it may be difficult for them to articulate it. And so I think that also applies with my team. I'm constantly analyzing and listening to what their needs are and how I can help support them, not only in their day-to-day role, but in growth and individual development. And so I think that really applying that, assessment and that pause and that, adjustment period to make sure that what I'm doing is best suited for all has really paid off in a big way for me.
The design industry can be highly competitive. I won't say cats and dogs, but how do you differentiate your studio from others? And what do you think is the key to creating lasting impact and client satisfaction in your projects?
Mm-hmm. Like my dad, I have very high expectations of the product that we deliver. And I expect very high performance from my team, both in-house and the artisans that we work with. And there's a level of quality and intensity that goes along with that becomes almost addictive. And I say that in terms of addictive for our clients, because there's so much excitement and there's so much joy that, I'll walk in and see a chair and get weepy-eyed and cry. And that's so exciting for a client because they're looking to you for guidance and to you to tell them this is good or this is bad. And when they get that feedback, it's so invigorating. And it's also the same for our artisans who made it. It's such a reward to receive. So they love working with us. And when things go wrong, we roll up our sleeves and we get in to fix it. And there's no level of detail that we won't involve ourselves with. Like when I said that there's toothpaste in the drawers, we put toilet paper on every roll and we organize the cabinets and think about how you're going to use your laundry room. And that level of attention is what has given us so much success and has created these environments that give so much back to our clients that they continue to find reasons to work with us more, whether it be in the residences that we've designed for them or their offices or other environments that they can cultivate so that they can continue that experience, has really, really driven our client base and our success to date.
We talked about a place and type of project you'd like to work on. Is there any part of the design sector and industry that you want to branch out to?
I would love a product. I don't know what the product is. But I am, like I said, I'm really craving artisanal, maybe semi-functional pieces that feel like they've been around for a long time. And right now in our community, there's so much saturation in new product that I would love for there to be something that was new but felt like it had provenance. And so there are a lot of artists who are doing this, and there's beautiful showrooms that you can go to explore it, like Carpenter's Workshop, R and Company. There's a new showroom here, Southern Guild. They have a lot of artisanal furniture makers. The Future Perfect, we are obsessed with them, and like they represent artists. But I would love to have more new pieces that are very artisanal. So more of that.
More of that. So what's next for Jaqui Seerman?
Ooh, we're rebranding. So that's exciting and new. We're refining our client experience, which is phenomenal already, but we're making it better. And we're maybe this furniture line that I'm talking about, we're definitely traveling. I'm hoping to go and explore more. I mean, speaking of Italy, everyone's in Salone and I want to be there, but hopefully I'll be able to go next year. So I'm putting that on my calendar because I'm already living in 2025 based on our project schedules. But a lot of editing and a lot of very refined selection. I'm trying to up the level in the video game that I'm on.
So reflecting on your career, if you could go back and tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I guess to start sooner. I wish I had started sooner. There's a lot of self-doubt that goes along with being young. And, you question if you take a path, if that's going to be the ultimate, correct path for you. And I did start young, but I wish I would have started even earlier on my own. And I love all of the time that I spent working for the other designers that I worked with, and I was able to travel all over, and I still continue to do. But I wish I would have had a little bit of courage to start even sooner, because as challenging and hard and, consuming having your own company it's the biggest source of joy that, I have, that I just give to myself. Like having my company is just for me. And I know that I deliver stuff to everybody else, but like it's something that I absolutely love doing. And I wish that I had started it sooner so I could have more of it.
Oh, you started with your dollhouse. I mean, how early could you go?
There was a break in between then and when I started, and that break was too long.
Well, Jaqui, is there anything else you'd like to share and tell us about?
Not particularly, other than that, for anyone who's thinking about starting, just know that it is definitely not tidy. There's no straight line. Everyone's experience will be different, and it's always marked by a lot of very interesting events that you could have never anticipated happening. But all of those events that do happen contribute to an incredibly successful experience, and to just stick with it and have fun and enjoy the ride.
Well, I think that's a good closing end. We appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a pleasure to meet you and chat with you for a bit, and much continued success moving forward.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking with you.
We'll talk soon. Take care, Jaqui.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Design. Subscribe for more inspiring conversations to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. See you next time.
Hi, you're listening to a Pod for Good Media Network podcast. We are a network that provides podcasting production services and a supportive community in which podcasters can thrive. If you're a podcaster local in the Tulsa area, we would love to have your show on the network. If you are interested in starting one, we would love to help you get started. Find us online at podforgoodmedia.com and fill out our Pod With Us form. Happy podcasting.